Welcome back to Burn the Ship, where we connect with entrepreneurs to help you go all in on your business. I'm your host, Carson Brown. Without further ado, I'm going to allow my guest to introduce herself.
Hi there, I'm Tim Huff. I'm the CEO of TurkNet Leadership Group. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here, man. It's been great to kind of get to know you and what little I do know. The beginning here, we're just going to kind of give you the floor, give us your story, kind of how you got here, where you're at, the things that you've done, and it's kind of yours.
Alrighty. Yeah, I love the theme of this, the burn the ships concept, is because it reminds me of a couple different times throughout my journey where I guess you could say I've kind of went all in on some directions. And so I'm the CEO of TurkNet Leadership Group. I've been in the role for only about 7 months. And I'm actually on my third leadership journey, or I'm on my third career journey here. I started out my professional career in the mid '90s as an infantry officer in the U.S. Army.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. At the time, I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to follow in my family's footsteps. I'm going to be a career Army officer for the rest of my career, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. And I had a ball. I went all in. I was an infantry officer, so I went to airborne school, ranger school, and I went to some of the more prestigious units throughout the U.S. Army. I was deployed a couple times. It was around the time that I was at about the 6-7 year mark. I had finished a successful company command, which is kind of like one of the capstone kind of assignments for a captain level. And I was thinking, you know what? I kind of know what the rest of my career looks like. I've seen it played out in so many different ways. So I kind of got the thought, you know what? I wonder what else is out there. What else could really light the fire within me and see what else I could contribute to the world. So long story short, I decided to leave the military, active duty, and go pursue an IT career.
Wow.
So I finished up as an infantry officer. Less than a month later, I was sitting at a cubicle in Walt Disney World, IT,
That's a big
managing
change.
a spreadsheet. It was
Yeah.
quite the change, going from the U.S. Army to working for Mickey Mouse. It was quite the cultural change, but you know what? Great, both amazing organizations. If you think about the U.S. Army and Walt Disney World or the Disney Company, both probably among the best at what they do in
Absolutely.
everything. Obviously, very, very different.
Yeah.
So the cultures and the leadership styles and the things that I learned from both experiences were just fascinating to me. So I continued my IT career for a while in Orlando, Florida. Had a great time. So many incredible learning experiences that led me to a couple different things. Number one, I was in the National Guard at the time, and it was through the National Guard that I got deployed to Afghanistan for a little over a year in 05, 06 time. So when I was coming out of that whole experience and making a decision about, I have a young family, I've got a promising IT career, I have a promising National Guard career, something's got to give.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the National Guard career had to take a side
back
road
seat.
and put that in the rearview mirror. So I went all in on
Absolutely.
my IT career and my family, and had a great time, great learning experiences, both. Through failures and successes, as we all do when we go all in on anything. So it was around 2011 that I was at another crossroads, I guess you could say. We in the organization had just finished up a major project. We're about to start a new one. My family was in a situation where my older son was about to go into middle school, and we just had a lot of converging things happening in my life where we were thinking, you know what, we can see what else is out there. And just on a whim, I applied for a position with Macy's up here in the Atlanta area for a director position in IT. And long story short, I wasn't expecting to get it, but I was actually approved for it. So we made a pretty hasty decision and went all in a different direction. Came up here to the Atlanta area, 2011, and Macy's, again, one of the best in the world at what they do. And I was very, very fortunate to be in a position where I could see so many things about the inner workings of what an e-commerce business looks like while supporting one of the largest, most established, most respected brick and mortar businesses in the world. And again, had a great time, made a lot of friends and some great learnings, both positive and negative, as we all
Absolutely.
do. And about 5 years later, I had another opportunity to grow in my IT career. I went to an organization called CRH, one of the global leading manufacturers of cement, aggregates, rock, and things like that. Again, very different from e-commerce and retail over to manufacturing and building materials. I met some wonderful people, had another wonderful opportunity to grow and learn. And it was around this time, this was about 2016, 2017, where I had an opportunity that I had never had before. I was a client of an executive coach. The CEO at the time of the organization that we're with, great person, and great forward thinker. He kind of made the decision that those of us who were in the senior leadership of the IT organization at the time could benefit from a coaching experience.
Yeah.
So I went into the entire experience thinking, okay, this is just another meeting on my calendar. I'll just kind of see where it goes. And long story short, it was absolutely transformational for me. I learned so much about myself as a human being, as a leader, as a contributor to an organization's success. I learned things about myself, strengths that I didn't know I had, weaknesses that I didn't know I had. Turned that all into leveling up as a leader, and it was through that experience I kind of got a little bit of a bug to get interested in leadership development in general.
That's awesome. It's kind of wild how conversations can lead you into that deep sphere of thinking. Like, it just puts you in a place of kind of understanding yourself and a self that you didn't know existed.
Very true.
After hearing that, that's a story. That's awesome that you've experienced so many things. I feel like something you've really been good at is putting your best foot forward, because to be successful and to put yourself in a position and kind of just go all in consistently is pretty remarkable. Outside of that, what have you felt like you found yourself to be successful at throughout your journey, other than basically going all in?
Wow, let's see. I think pivoting is something that immediately comes to mind when I think about that question. In that, there have been a couple of times where I've obviously pivoted in my career. Again, I'm on my third one when I decided to leave IT and go into leadership development and executive coaching full time. But I would say even more, taking that theme a little bit more around understanding who I am as a leader and as a person.
Absolutely.
Because I've recognized that I have grown so much as a leader, recognizing the kind of leader I thought I was when I was in the military, even when I was in my earlier IT career. And I just recognize that I'm different now. I'm different because of the strengths that I know that I have, and I can just bring more of my authenticity into my role. So pivoting around that, and also continuing to learn and grow. I'm in a situation right now where I'm continuing to recognize the things that aren't working well and the things that I can do to even have greater success. So I think pivoting is probably the existential point.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. And I feel people kind of fail to notice that sometimes. I actually saw a quote today, lead down the path, and if something gets in your way, turn. I mean, it's kind of a coincidence, actually. Outside of the things you were successful at, are there things that you weren't very successful at, and you kind of struggled with and had to find a new, like you say, and pivot?
Oh boy. Short answer, yes. There's obviously a lot of different things that I look back on through my leadership career and think, wow, I wish I could have done that differently. I wish I could have had more success here. I think about some of the IT projects that I was the lead of in my latter parts of my IT career. Some I had really good success in, but I think a lot more about the things that I wasn't so successful at. As an example, allowing too much accountability for those under me without the appropriate oversight. I made some hard. I had some hard lessons there when I recognized that there are people on the team that capable, but they just needed a lot more oversight than I gave credence to at the time, and it led to some lack of successes that I wish I would have done differently. There's a lot more, and recognizing the things that I'm able to contribute to an organization. Like I don't have a technology background from the way that I entered into my IT career.
Yeah.
Therefore, the things that I'm best at is probably not going to be in the things that require that level of professional maturity. So I recognized throughout my IT career where I could probably be more successful than others. And same thing with my career now.
Just navigating kind of in an efficient way.
Exactly.
Instead of kind of overdoing it and putting yourself in a position that you might not be very successful at.
That is very true. Yes.
Within your industry now, what are some of the key challenges that you face overall now?
Yeah, I would say in the industry, what we're trying to lean a little bit more into is recognizing how we can deliver our services and our offerings in a holistic way. Because TurkNet Leadership Group is a premier executive coaching and leadership development organization. We've been around for 37 years. We're very solid in the Atlanta area, and we've just had a tremendous success, and we built our services and offerings around that. But we have so much to offer, and the things that we can help an organization with And we just want to be able to communicate that in a way where people and our potential clients can understand. We can help with things like succession planning, pre-hire assessments, and all of the things that could really help an organization's leadership really get uplifted, not just through individual coaching here and there and kind of like pinpoint targeting.
Yeah,
We're talking a holistic
not taking
approach.
like a niche approach, really expanding and not being very vague about what you do.
Exactly,
Yeah,
because
that's
there's a
what I'm
lot of need out there, and we can help with that.
You
So
can do
just
everything.
communicating that.
Yeah, absolutely, and allowing people to know that you can service in different ways. And
Very true.
yeah, absolutely. I got a good question here. You spoke about success earlier. How do you measure success, and how do you deem it to be important? What do you deem to be important about success?
Well, there's a lot of ways I can answer that question. That's a very interesting question. And I would probably answer it differently now than I did earlier in my career.
Yeah.
Obviously, and I'm certainly not too proud to admit that early in my career, success was all about titles and salary and any kind of prestige that came with that. I recognize that that not only is a very, very poor way of measuring success professionally, but just as just recognizing the things that I want to get out of my life is certainly not around that. And I had continued my IT career along those kinds of veins because I had a goal in mind of being the senior technologist in an organization and shaping the strategy and the culture of an IT organization. And I recognized that I can actually deliver more for an organization, not in that way, but through the things that I'm doing now.
Absolutely.
So as I measure success, obviously, since I'm brand new in the role, I'm still looking at the nuts and bolts of the things that matter the most. Profit, margin, obviously the culture within the organization, making sure that the service offerings that we have are the right ones, and kind of shaping the way in which our strategy is going to be best suited for our clientele, and making sure that the legacy that our incredible owners have established is going to continue in the way that they want it to be continued.
Would being in within the industry that you're in now, is leadership something that's very, very important to you? Is it something that you kind of hyper focus on and see yourself kind of stressing more than kind of other things?
Absolutely, and it kind of goes to like the why. When
Absolutely.
everybody should have a why in their life, in some degree. And when I look at my why and the things that I'm doing now, I could have easily have continued my IT career.
Yeah.
I could have had a lot of success there. But when I look at the things that are important to me, is I genuinely want to help leaders through their leadership journey, whether they be junior leaders just starting out and trying to understand what this whole thing is all about, to executive leaders who may be struggling to understand how to talk to their CEO, to how to talk to the board, how to interface with their peers, and how to appropriately lead their teams and create cultures. I've just seen so many successes, and I've seen some failures in that regard, and just bringing those experiences to other people. If I see some of my clients leveling up and really achieving success as a leader, the self-actualization I feel out of that is just spot on. That's my why.
Absolutely. Over time, within this journey of being in so many different type of experiences and opportunities and industries, have you kind of noticed the difference between, I mean, you kind of spoke on this earlier, what it takes to be a leader and how leaders are different, or do you find more commonalities now that you've kind of taken on this role of what you do now?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm gonna extend on this question just a little bit because this is a wonderful question.
Absolutely.
I'll start out by saying one of the absolute things I've learned: anyone can be a leader. Anyone can be a leader. You don't have to have a title. Anybody can choose to be a leader. It is a choice, and the foundation for really good long-term success as a leader is around the leadership character model, which we at TurkNet are very, very strong believers in. If you would imagine a model of a scale, and at the base of the scale is integrity. Very, very solid block on which everything is founded. You can't be a really good leader of integrity or a leader of character without integrity as a really solid component. Then on either side of the scale, you've got respect and responsibility, the attributes that are very important to keep in balance, that artful balance for respect for others and the responsibility you have to the organization. And there are different attributes on each side of the scale. So a leader who kind of understands, whether it be through intuition or through the knowledge around what this truly means, recognizes in a given situation when they kind of lean a little bit more towards that responsibility side and the respect side, and how to do that with authenticity.
Absolutely.
There's so many times I'm seeing leaders and they really want to make the right impression, but they're not doing it in an authentic way, and it just comes across
Absolutely.
flat.
Yeah, you're like you say, you're not really doing it for the right reasons. So it just comes across a little different. It just doesn't feel the same as it would if you're authentic about it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of adding on to that and kind of taking what you just said, is there any advice you would give to up and coming entrepreneurs or business leaders, or, you know, just people that have done it for a while and maybe they're in question of, man, I feel like I'm struggling as a leader, or maybe I don't have the right qualities. Is there any advice you would give to those people out there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting. I talked to a lot of clients who are kind of at that inflection point where they recognize, hey, I've got something special here as an organization, as a value proposition for things that they want to accomplish, and they're starting to build that through people.
Absolutely.
Because, of course, leadership is all about people. It's the art of leadership versus the science of management, which is all about the things. First off, just recognizing that and recognizing who you want to be as a leader, and recognizing the things that you would like to see from others as a leader, like how you would want to be led. So the advice I would give is, don't have leadership be a back of mind kind of thinking. Even if you have only one person on your team, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, etc., leadership really needs to be at the forefront of how you plan on leading your organization every single day. It is so crucial. All of the things that an entrepreneur is able to delegate and empower and be able to grow their organization, it's going to all come through their ability to lead.
Absolutely.
So to keep that front of mind is a very, very top thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like people get into a position of leadership and forget that sometimes you have to be leaned on, and sometimes you have to understand that you can lean on others.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very important.
Very true.
Outside of everything we've spoke about today and your journey, this is going to be kind of hard to ask because you've kind of done it all.
Yeah.
You have a very impressive background. We're all human. I'm human. You're human. Outside of what you do now, are there any hobbies that you have, any things you enjoy, or is there anything, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, that you believe you would be doing?
Oh, wow. Another great question. So the hobbies and the things that I love working out and I love running.
Absolutely.
Happen to be a hobbit a little bit because I have a knee injury that's going to take a while to heal up. But I love hiking. A couple of years ago, I did a hike called the Camino de Santiago in Europe, where I spent a month walking from Lisbon, Portugal, up to Compostela de Santiago in Spain.
That's awesome.
360 miles. Wonderful experience. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, I just happened to be. It was that magical time in my life where I was able to take the time and the financial ability to it. It was just a magical time. So I love doing things like that. Love getting out there in nature and just allowing the world to envelop me and just recognizing all of the goodness in the world. Also love music. Play guitar a little bit,
awesome.
Although I need to do it a lot more. I'm not nearly as practiced as I want to be.
Yeah. Well, outside of what you do now, do you think there might ever be any new opportunities for business, or any down the road you might change, or you kind of enjoying what you do now?
Yeah, well, that's another great question. I'd say that I thoroughly enjoy what I do now.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was on a call a couple months ago, and somebody, as I was explaining my role, somebody said, "Wow, you have the dream job," and I said, "Yes, I do. I absolutely thoroughly love my job. I love the organization. I am all in on the organization.
Absolutely.
It's such a fascinating organization with so much potential." Having said that, looking at the history of my professional career, I've always shifted and pivoted. There will be a time in my future, not in the near future. I wouldn't see that for several years, but where I would want to maybe expand out, do something different.
Try something.
So we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, speaking to you today, I mean, you kind of can understand your passion. You can see it. You can feel it in a room. You kind of light the room up with especially just kind of being able to talk about what you do and allowing people to know that you do truly love what you do. And that for a client is very important, because when you can feel somebody's passionate about talking to you about what they do or the service that they're providing, it kind of just gives you this blanket of comfortability.
Mm-hmm.
Who is an ideal client for you?
I would say that an ideal client is an organization probably in the mid to enterprise tier, with a leadership development organization that truly understands and cares about what leadership means to them.
Absolutely.
And an organization that understands that there are professionals out there who are just phenomenally good at this, where they understand that bringing the right people in the right kind of context to holistically understand how they can level up their entire leadership capabilities, from pre-hire assessments to succession planning, executive coaching, workshops, all of the things that we have the capabilities to do, that we can partner with them in every single way that makes the most difference for them. I would say that that's probably the ideal client. It's not necessarily limited to medium to large companies, but organizations that understand the magic of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like sometimes you don't understand that until you do get a little larger, is where you kind of see that the pivot of like, something's got to change. We got to do something a little different around here. Outside of that, how can we find you? Socials, good spots.
Absolutely. I'm most active on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
So I'm very open to connect with anybody who's interested in connecting. Every Thursday, I publish a little bite-sized leadership. It's like a 1-minute video on leadership, where it's a little tip that I've garnered throughout my experience. So LinkedIn is probably the easiest way to reach out to me, or www.turknet.com.
Absolutely. All those will be attached below. Outside of that, tell us what Burning Ship has done for you and why our audience should kind of also do it.
Well, I think I love the phrase of going all in a direction that you're passionate about. It's so unfortunate when you think about the people who don't go all in the things that they're passionate about, and they just kind of ride the safe waters throughout the rest of their life, and then they're heading in towards retirement. They get the gold watch, and they look back on their career, and they have so many regrets of the things and the passions that they wanted to explore. Even if an entrepreneur is able to take the risk, go out there and fail, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, do it again. Keep doing it so that you can live your life in such a way that you look back and say, you know what, I gave it a good try. I have no regrets. If you can live that kind of life, that is success.
Absolutely. Well, folks, burn the ship.
Burn the ship, baby.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
It was